Moist Critical just debated Sneeko, and it was an absolute mess.
I'm talking about your personal beliefs. Do you think someone in their 20s should be able to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
Someone in their 20s should, I mean, I personally wouldn't do it. I don't know many people who would do it. The maturity for people and the teenagers in the West is getting much worse, but there are...
I'm talking globally. Let's just talk globally. Like, do you think it is okay for, and I'm not talking about just you specifically anymore, anyone. Do you think it's okay for anyone in their 20s, an adult, to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
A 21-year-old, if there was a marriage where the father consented and the daughter consented, and it was both good on both families and they wanted to do it, why am I going to get involved? Why should we get the government involved? Why would I tell them if everybody's consenting, if everybody's okay with it, if the parents are okay with it, if nobody's being harmed, if it's going to be okay, if they're both abiding by the rules and they're not hurting each other, why not?
But they're still, like, they're at best a sophomore in high school. They can't consent to something like that.
So I'd like to think that I have a more nuanced view than most of the internet on what makes someone a creep. I've taken a lot of flack for saying that people who are, in my view, not creeps, somehow actually are. Like, I don't think that a 16-year-old dating an 18-year-old makes them a creep, because I think that nuance matters. But right now, a lot of people are being talked about online and accused of a lot of shit. We had the Dr. Disrespect situation where he admitted to talking to a minor.
Hey, good evening, or morning, whatever time it is for you. I'm gonna hop on and play a little bit of Cocoon before I go to work today.
So, around minors, which is not good, to say the least.
Listen to this video.
Both of these people should definitely be condemned for what they did. But one person who's been popping up a lot in the news lately has been Sneeko, as he was defending Dr. Disrespect.
Pokimane, your audience is just jerking off watching you, and everybody knows that. And you know it. Look at her. She's looking down saying, stop that. Look at that cringe. She's cringing at her simp fans jerking off on the stream all day, and she's aware of it. And then she has the balls to go say Dr. Disrespect's a terrible person. Bro, this is my problem with this.
They're both bad people, but like that doesn't.
But nobody cancels
there.
Pokimane. There's no hate brigade. Everyone's like,
text a 17-year-old.
but she has 13-year-olds jerking off to her, and she's fine with it and monetizing it.
And he also had a very hard time talking about the age of consent and what he thinks it should be. He had a very bad debate where he could not answer where he thinks the law should set the age of consent to be.
Age of consent should be, Sneeko.
This is not an important conversation.
No, you don't think kids are not an important conversation? What do you think the age of consent should be? You want to be consistent? You don't think anything updates? Just call it what you think it should be.
I think it should be past the
why can't I move?
What is a developed age? If you had to set a law for it, what would you set it? What would you set it about?
It's a developed age.
And with all of this going on, he managed to get Penguin Zero, Moist Critical, or Charlie on a stream to debate him. Now, Charlie, as much of a fan of him as I have been in the past, did not perform amazingly in this debate. I think it's clear that he's not a very skilled debater, not his most amazing skill. But I don't really blame him for that, because the average person is not watching a lot of autistic debate content online. But regardless of how good or bad he is at this debate, the stuff Sneeko was trying to push in this debate was absolutely insane. And Charlie also was trying to push some really dumb shit. I feel like I have to, call it out a little bit here, because he said something here that is, I'm just not cool with.
In the 1800s, when it was the age of 10, that was fine. Legally, back then, they were not a file. Today, legally, they are a file.
Wait. When was the age of consent?
The thing that the conversation starts with is Critical wondering why the age of consent is something that Sneeko is so intent on debating, or why he has such an issue with the age of consent in general. Charlie says the age of consent should be an accepted number, meaning 18 years old.
It's very interesting. I like how you generate a crystal pathway.
College, drive, learn all things, versus under that age you're still a kid. Sneeko then responds by saying that the age of consent in most states is not 18. Which is true. About 30 states in the United States have the age of consent set to 16 years old. Charlie then says, well, yeah, but that mostly applies to Romeo and Juliet laws. A 19-year-old and a 16-year-old is legally not considered bad, because obviously they're relatively close in age. And we can recognize that there are exceptions where somebody may be breaking the law, but it's not like a feeling half, right? Sneeko then says he's not arguing to lower the age of consent. He's against the idea entirely. He then points out that in Europe, the age of consent is 16.
It's like a power I have.
Brazil is 14 years old, I believe. He's basically saying that the law varies from place to place. So he asks Charlie why he believes 18 is the true age of consent to be respected. Charlie then brings up that just because it may be legal in some places, that doesn't mean it's right. Sneeko responds by saying, okay, well, I wouldn't really do that. I wouldn't date someone that age. But it has nothing to do with their age. It's because he doesn't hook up with people anymore. And that's his greatest qualm about having someone underage, that it's like out of wedlock. He then claims that even having an age of consent encourages premarital sex somehow. So Charlie says, okay, would you marry a kid?
Okay, so then instead of let's take it away from like premarital sex, would you feel comfortable marrying a 16-year-old? Like, would you meet a 16-year-old with romantic intent if you're in Europe, and maybe
marry
okay. This is like a pylon.
I probably wouldn't personally, because I don't think that I'd be on the same mental playing field. I like to have intellectual conversations. I like to be with women that are around my same age.
So in his personal life, if he can, for some reason, understand that a 16-year-old is not the same thing as an 18, 19, 20-year-old in most cases, he can see that clearly. But then when it comes to applying it to other people, for some reason, he's like, oh, well, it's fine. Which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
No, I think there'd be too much of a gap.
Oh, did I spin it again?
Like, if they're able to get along, then I don't see why that's so much of a problem.
Well, why it's a problem is because a 16-year-old does not have the same mental maturity as somebody who is, let's say, 26. They are vastly different at different stages in their life. The 26-year-old has had college, they've had jobs, they've had experiences far beyond the 16-year-old that makes them much more able to make informed decisions about their life. 16-year-olds have had none of that. So I would say it's wrong to have sex with them because they're older. Even if that 16-year-old may be physically mature, they're not mentally mature. It's as simple as that. And I think Charlie actually makes that point pretty clear. But Steve then starts digging into Charlie's ideology. What Charlie says is someone who is 17 years old and 364 days is a kid, but somebody who is one day older is automatically not a kid. And obviously, this is how we treat it legally sometimes, but practically speaking, a one-day difference is not a huge change in maturity, right? And of course, the counter-argument someone could make is, okay, well, let's say a 16-year-old is very smart, they've graduated college early, they can drive a car. Would you say that you can just date them? And I would say no. But Sneeko begins to catch Charlie in some serious traps, and he doesn't do a good job at handling it.
You do admit that varies for most people. Like, a lot of people don't move out of their parents' homes until they're 25, 26, 27. A lot of people don't.
There's nothing wrong with that.
A lot of people graduate high school 16. A lot of people graduate high school 20. It's a huge variable. So to set that in stone is that this is when you're a kid and this is you're an adult. That doesn't apply to most people. So why would you define a kid and an adult if it doesn't apply to most people?
Because it needs to. Otherwise, you can get into this really gray area where you, like a lot of the things you say, can be misconstrued as you wanting to have sex with a 15, 16-year-old.
Where who is true?
A lot of people, because I mean,
I don't think anybody.
Clips that I played in the video, you were saying like the age of maturity, the age of development, and then you use 16 and 17 in that clip.
So,
like, for the age of marriage.
The definition of an adult is 18 years old.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fine establishment right
Ooh,
there.
what's that down there?
18 would classify as a kid. I think that's important.
Okay, but you're getting that from what? From personal experience, from the government, from the law? Because that's legally in America, that's when you become an adult, correct?
Yeah, legally.
So you're following the government's definition of an adult.
I think there needs to be a definition, and that one's been around for a long time, and I think that's the one most people accept as the closest to, like, yeah, this is when you become an adult.
Now, for the purposes of preventing child abuse and a whole host of other issues, I agree that 18 should be the age of consent. Because the problem you can run into if you get rid of that is that you can begin to justify a whole list of other horrible things. Sneeko makes the argument that the law should just be abolished entirely, which is just stupid. That's wrong. Typically, people do a good job of governing themselves and regulating their behavior. That's why not everybody walking out on the street is in jail right now. But when someone does not and they harm someone else, the government exists in this case to step in and prevent that harm or punish the harm perpetuating it, so it sets an example to others that are not resulting in that harm. The government's not always right. There's a lot of bad shit they do, but in an ideal society, this is why they exist. There needs to be some kind of rule to the land because people on their own cannot cover themselves sometimes because they're stupid. And the law especially needs to exist when it comes to children and exploitation. Children are literally the most sacred thing we have as a society, okay? They are literally the future of our world. The things they do now, the ideas they learn, the experiences they have will, in the future, change the world, okay? And their children will change the world after we are dead. Before they're even able to be adults, we should not be letting them be abused by people who should know better when they're powerless to stop it and can't
Are those
understand
living creatures down there?
theirs and others' actions. But Sneeko then brings up the, oh, well, in the
Looks
1800s,
like it.
we did this.
Right, 200 years ago in the 1800s in America, the age of
Yeah,
marriage.
we can't live like that. We're so much more advanced than that. Why would we play by those rules? Because at that point, are you going to start arguing that we should be able to start wedding 12-year-olds? Like, is 12 too young?
That's not the point. I'm saying, you're saying that the U.S. defined adult as 18. Well, I'm saying 200 years ago, the age of marriage in America was 10, and the UK was 7. Right, so if the government decides to change it, you're saying it's 18. If the government, maybe if Kamala Harris gets elected, the new legal age of an adult is 25. And there could be reasons to say that. They graduated college, they don't leave the house until this age. Their brains don't develop until they're 25. Their frontal cortex is not fully developed until they're 25 years old. A lot of people aren't making serious money. They're not able to live independently. A lot of things that you could use to classify an adult don't happen for the new age American until 25 years old. So if Kamala Harris raised it to 25, would you then say that that's the new age? Would you agree with that?
I think that'd be totally understandable. Like, I
Right.
think
So,
that's fine.
then does that make anybody who sleeps with an under 25 does that now make them a pedophile?
No, I don't think necessarily that makes them retroactive.
So then what's
But it's an accepted definition of 18 for a long time.
But this is where Charlie really starts to lose me. 25 years old being the age of consent would be dumb. It just would be. And you should not be okay with the government raising the age of consent to 25, and now if you're 30 and you bang someone who's 24, you're now a creep legally. You shouldn't be charged for that. It doesn't make any sense. The appeal to whatever the law says being right and true is dumb. Because obviously there should be a law in place.
It is a
but
creature.
that being the only thing your morality rests on is there are laws that have existed in the past that will exist in the future.
I'm sorry I
that
had to
don't
rip your little gut out.
If you're going to defend a certain law, you should be able to justify why you defend that law. And the idea that because the law says it's true is dumb. But then Charlie comes back and really tries to see how low Sneeko will go.
Oh,
Do you see why
I see.
This is like a weird take to have, though. Like, what? Like, I don't think you're going to put this in the place if you're wanting the 15-year-old, are you? Like, to go back to that question, is 12 too young? Do you think 12 is too young?
I think 12 is too young.
For you? So you wouldn't be upset if you found out that a 20-year-old banged a 12-year-old for any reason other than the fact it's out of wedlock. You wouldn't be like, that's messed up. If a 20-year-old married a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old, you wouldn't say that's messed up. Sneeko just spent a lot of time rightfully calling out Chris Tyson for being a horrible person. Chris didn't even bang a 12-year-old. Is what Chris did only bad because it's out of wedlock? So it's some serious
I did it.
inconsistency. But Sneeko did decide to like Thank God he did that.
I think 12 is too young for me.
Hi, Coleman.
Well,
Nice to see
for
you.
you, do you think 12 is too young in general? I feel like that should be an easy answer.
How are you
12
today?
is too young in general, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And I don't
But
think
I
you
want
can
to
have this-
define what you're saying. Your definition of adult is not even the actual definition. Do you know what the definition of child is? Like anybody watching this can Google it. You can Google it too. The definition of a child is somebody who is not reached puberty. That's the definition.
Yeah, and then you get into like the pedophile or whatever, as opposed to like those are
I don't know. I have no idea what those terms are. I don't know what that is. But I'm saying that's the actual definition.
This is very cool.
It's based off of biological.
Okay. Ah, okay, so it's in the orb now, and I'm gonna have to go kill it. Ah, okay. That kind of makes sense. Thank you for orb.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and
So,
right
so,
now-
so it varies for everybody. Adulthood is not something that you can set in stone because it's different for the entire world. I moved out when I was 14. A lot of people don't move out until they're 25. A lot of
Good,
I went
thanks.
through
Enjoying the
puberty when I
London
was
weather.
17.
How
A lot
are
of
you
people went
doing?
through puberty when they were 13,
Doing pretty
14,
good.
15. It changes for
Just
everybody. So for you to
trying to
say
enjoy
that
my
this is
morning
set in stone
before
age,
I have to go to
and say
work.
you're-
I woke
well,
up
if it's
later
under
than I was
18,
hoping,
and then if you're
which,
over
you know,
18, you're
isn't
fine.
bad,
Well,
but
then that's a weird line that doesn't make sense. So you're gonna say this person is a terrible person if you're 17 years old, 364 days, and right after that they're good to go. But it
Ooh,
changes
it
for
puts it,
everybody.
like, in a
so
little
we have to have
changer.
something, a definition. We have to be
do.
realistic with
It's
everybody.
Went and donated
but
plasma
you're saying
today
we, but
to
that's
get
not
some
even the case in
extra
the
money
country
for
we live in.
DabbleCon,
And
so
while people do mature at different rates, and I would not call someone who is 18...
Missed my
and a
first appointment, I had to
16-year-old
remake a
creepy
second one.
anyway. The reason that the law exists is to make it legally enforceable to punish you. Where a 26-year-old is equal to a 16 or 15 or 14 or 13-year-old, right? That's why the law exists, to punish those people.
Oh, now I can
That is
choose
bad,
which one to
and
jump
should be
into.
punished, and there's no excuse for it, whether they're
This is
married
some
or
sort
not.
of portal
And if you do
machine.
something like that, the vast majority of
I like
people in the
this.
United States will see you as a creep, and that's not just because it's illegal. It's because they recognize the vast difference on average between a 26-year-old and a 16-year-old. This is a pretty easy thing to adhere to. You can just not bang kids when you're in your mid-20s. It's not that difficult. You can not marry one when you're in mid-20s. It's that simple. They meander around.
Wait, can I bring that orb with me?
Arguing that sex out of wedlock shouldn't happen, but if you marry a 15-year-old and they're mature for their age, that's fine. Like the idea that
I can.
an 18-year-old is worse than a 20-year-old being a 13-year-old because one of them is out of wedlock is
So I wonder what this does.
Disguised and moral. But Charlie
me.
brings it back once again to Sneeko's personal beliefs around the subject.
Oh, I can
No,
go
I'm
this way.
asking
That's what I can
globally.
do.
Let's just talk globally. Like, do you think it is okay for? I'm not talking about just you specifically anymore.
I really,
Anyone,
really
it's
love
okay
the
for
tech in
anyone
this game.
in their 20s, an adult, to marry a 15 or 16-year-old.
A 21-year-old, if there was a marriage with a father consented,
That was a cool jingle.
It was both good on both families, and they wanted to do it. Why am I going to get involved? Why should we get the government involved?
Well, because the government is right sometimes, actually. Actually, sometimes people do dumb stuff. Sometimes people do evil stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
If
so
someone
that's what
wants
this
to kill
band
someone
is right
else,
here.
why should we let the government
Select
get
the little
involved?
incision
Well,
mark
because
here.
murder is
Yeah.
wrong. If the person being murdered consents to it, if they want to die,
Depending on the clinic you go to, the pace can be pretty good.
Right? I mean, they're consenting. No, of course not, because there's an inherent harm in the action of taking someone's life. You're letting a person who is clearly mentally effed up in the head die because
so what's
they
the
have no will
puzzle
to live,
here?
and you're allowing a sick person to murder them. That is wrong. You cannot reasonably consent to being killed.
Aha,
Just like
there
you
it
can't
is.
reasonably consent to having sex
So
as a
it's
child. And this is
square,
such an easy thing to
thingy,
understand.
triangle,
And
no,
that's the argument of parents allowing it.
you.
Yeah, some parents are morons. Some parents will allow their child to be exploited by an adult. But just because they don't think that there's anything wrong doesn't mean we shouldn't set societal standards or have a kind of law in place so that enforcers can punish that person and stop the harm from taking place. Sneeko himself may not be molesting
Reset.
kids, but he is arguing for some horrible shit
So,
right
first
now.
one
He needs to be called
is
out for that. He's sounding more and more like Amos E every day.
Square,
If everybody's consenting,
Heck.
if everybody's okay with it, the parents are okay with
Triangle.
it, if nobody's being harmed,
No,
if it's going to be okay, if
you.
they're both abiding by the rules and they're not hurting each other, one of them.
But if they're still, like, they're at best a support reason. They can't consent to something like that.
Oh yeah, shoot the goop.
Okay, so now it's sophomore in high school versus senior in high school. What's the difference? Like, what's the difference
I'm just saying,
maturity-wise?
like, I'm giving you a perspective on where that age would be in life. Like, they can't consent to something like that.
That's probably you're bringing up an outlier that's probably not going to happen as much. I'm saying that these are arbitrary reasons to say, like, a sophomore versus a senior in high school. How much different were you really maturity-wise?
Yeah, and a sophomore is 15 or 16, and a senior in high school is 17 or 18. I wouldn't say that somebody who is a senior and a sophomore is a pedophile. And if you do personally think that it's creepy or weird, then I don't think it should be held against them for the rest of their life. I would, however, say that somebody who's 21 in the United States, who's about to finish college, and someone who's 15 years old, who's still at the beginning of high school, relatively speaking, should not be dated because of the large maturity gap. This is pretty simple to understand, I think, and to be honest, Charlie doesn't do an amazing job explaining himself here. Sneeko is kind of steamrolling.
It wasn't that much of a
Okay,
difference.
guess it's time
The
to hop
reason
out of
that
here.
You keep saying 18 is because in California,
I came in here to bring the
where they
drone
have
with me. That makes
post-Hollywood
sense.
movies, it's 18. And so everybody across the world, this is the standard that we believe in. This is the correct age, exactly on the dot. And if it's anything under that, are you going to say here that
All right.
if a 21-year-old got married to a 17-year-old who was almost 18, is that 21-year-old a pedophile?
I would say that that is a morally bad thing to do for sure.
Not morally
Ooh, it's
bad,
like an
not
underwater
morally bad.
level or
Is that-
something.
I wouldn't call them. No, I wouldn't call them a.
So when does somebody
that
become
has
a
made
when does somebody become a pedophile?
I would say when you have this position,
You're not answering the question.
I'm explaining it.
Okay.
When you are in your 20s and you start preying upon someone who is still a child, a 15, 16, 14, anything under 18, a 21 and a 17.
You still haven't specifically defined what a child is. So then why? Okay, there you go. So if pedophile is love of children, in your
That's a
definition,
very good
starts at 18.
debate
The
tactic there. You
21-year-old
gotta
marries
define
a
this thing that I want you to
17-year-old
define.
Who's turning 18 tomorrow? He is a pedophile based off your definition.
As I said, if he would wait, he would not be. Then yeah,
Well, not wait.
to
Based off your
play ball with
definition,
that.
that person's
in that
a so,
position, there's
That's
no
grooming
reason
then, right?
to not wait for the legally established, agreed upon definition of when you stop being a child.
And
I like
this is
that
where
little-
Charlie gets himself
the
into some
thingies.
serious hot water because he has a very hard time defining what is a child and what is not. For example, I defended Colby Carson for the allegations made against him, which at worst, what we know is that he is a 19-year-old sexing a 17-year-old. This is potentially illegal in some cases by Charlie standards. Do I care? No. The same way that
Are these threatening?
20-year-old dating a 15-year-old. Sneeko is not right. The
No?
law doesn't matter.
Just
But
really
he is
cool?
right to say that the way Charlie is arguing about it makes it kind of arbitrary. And he does not make a very good case for
Wait.
where his moral foundations lie.
I wasn't
sound like a
expecting
giant
that.
Spurred right now because I'm like analyzing this as like a debate bro, whatever. But really, Charlie just does not do an amazing job here.
Oh.
I think even he
You checked
realized
it.
it.
Okay.
And Charlie once again makes the mistake here of not being able to explain why he thinks something is wrong.
Tomorrow, if the U.S. government legalized bestiality, if the government legalized incest, based off your logic, there'd be no reason why that's wrong. Can I ask you, Moise, do you think that incest is wrong?
Yes.
Why is incest wrong?
There is under no circumstances any excuse for anyone to say or mine to be romantic like that. By no means at all.
Why?
I really think it should be pretty obvious why.
I don't know why. I'm asking you.
Yeah,
I
no.
know where you're going with this because I've heard this argument from
No, you should answer the question.
Ethics of incest, if they don't have a kid and thus don't pass down like bad genes that lead to a bad child. I've heard this before.
But so I want to hear your answer because
Yeah,
are we
it's a
going
good-
with
it's a
legal
good question.
Or are we gonna follow some sort of morality?
It's a
some
tough
sort of
question, but it's a good
consistent
question.
morality. Why is incest wrong?
Incest is wrong because I believe that no family dynamic should ever include a sexual relation.
Why?
I don't think that because it is not healthy. It is a bad thing to do. It
Why-
is a horrible thing to subject someone to.
Why is it horrible? Because who told you that?
It's what I believe. And also, if you do have a child with your own kin, the child suffers.
Okay, but say it's two brothers, two gay brothers, Chris Tyson and other Chris Tyson. And if they're two brothers and they decide to be in a no, genuine question. It's what you believe in. I want to figure out where your beliefs come from. You personally believe that?
My beliefs come from a place.
They're gonna
of
eat my
what
drone,
I
I
believe to be
assume.
moral, where I don't believe that anyone in the same family has any position to be romantic with one another. I don't think
So
that that's
your morality comes from yourself?
My morality comes from like the world around me.
What does that mean?
Okay, so if the morality comes
Dang,
from the world around
Charlie
you,
is
then
really
by
losing
your
this
logic,
part of the
if
debate.
You lived in America in the 1800s where the age of 10 was okay, and where the age of 7 was okay in England just 200 years ago. If you followed the world around you, that would be okay. That was fine.
And it's not now because we've evolved past that.
Now, I think one of the main things getting critical caught up here is that he's not a debate streamer. He's not someone who spends a lot of time thinking about what he believes. So he has to talk to someone like Sneeko, who, as dumb as he is, has spent a little more time with Charlie than what he believes. He's studying how he can justify banging a kid. He looks bad. Straight up, he does look bad. But I don't think that just because the guy debating one debate is in the right, it means he knows how to justify his position. Whereas Charlie does not. He's just a normal dude that accepts morality from the world around him.
Alright,
which he
guess I have
sets
to go
himself
this way now.
And beyond that, I don't think he spends a lot of time thinking about why he feels
Bye,
the
drone.
way that he feels. I think this is where one of the biggest points of criticism comes from the Zero channel in general. He's like a lightning rod for the most common mistake to take about any situation.
Oh, okay, at least
On
he's
one
back
hand,
here
that's
for
why
me
his channel
later.
is so successful, but it's also why people hate him.
So how do I
He's
deal
not
with
someone who
that?
spends hours and hours thinking about how he feels. He just turns on his camera, records his take,
Oh.
and leaves it at that off the cuff. If anything, this debate has shown me that if nothing else, he's honestly saying what he believes. But it also shows that he has a hard time justifying
Okay,
only
so let's
commonly
figure out,
accepted positions when pressed on. And that's
oh, okay,
why
I
Sneeko
know
was
how.
able to get him to justify children transitioning. And this is not even a joke or something ironic I'm saying. Charlie did do that.
Do you believe that somebody can go through hormone therapy? Can they change their gender if they're a child?
I think that's totally fine as long as everyone.
Blah,
is
no.
You can just see
No.
Sneeko's glee as he realizes how bad this is for Charlie. Look, man, there's no circumstance under which a 9-year-old should be able to have a doctor cut their dick off, regardless
Yeah,
of what
no.
parents think. If Charlie
No,
can
no,
make
no,
the
no.
argument minors cannot consent to sex, then he can't also make the argument that they can consent to life-changing, irreversible gender surgery for all of time. They'll never be able to get that.
Okay.
Yeah, what?
So as long
That's
as everyone-
fucked.
Parents are okay with it, and you are okay with it. I think that's totally a familial decision.
How can you make that decision?
In contrast to what Charlie just said, with what
That's
Sneeko just said.
If you
insane.
have someone that's your age coming in saying, I want to marry that child, I don't think that can happen under any circumstance.
But it's still a personal decision. You're still deciding.
Like, both of these people are basically saying the same thing, but Charlie is arguing in favor of kids transitioning, and Sneeko is arguing in favor of kids getting groomed.
So if you have someone that's your age coming in saying, I want to marry that child, I don't think that can happen under any circumstance.
Ah, I know
I
it
think
too.
this debate is really a horrible look for both of them, but I'm slightly more disappointed in Charlie because I hated Sneeko from the outset, and fighting this kind of bullet for
Oh,
Charlie
that is so cool.
I do not know why you decided
That
to
is
say that.
so
Obviously,
cool.
There are some people that are going to be supportive of that position. I think they're wrong. And the amount of people that are now going to use this to show that he's protecting people like Chris Tyson, given the fact he's justifying 9-year-old getting life-changing surgery because their parents think it's okay, is, well, a lot of people are going to say that, and it's hard to argue with them at this moment. Now, I don't think that Charlie is protecting Chris Tyson, but these people are going to use this clip to show that. It's going to be taken out of context forever, till the end of time. It's going to make a lot of people in his audience, if they see this, really not like it. Now, unfortunately for Sneeko, he then brings it back around to make himself look bad as well.
But no, take the other party out of the equation. It's a personal decision. If I'm 16 and I personally want to marry this girl, she's 21 years old, my family wants to do it, my family wants to do it. You're saying, I can't do that. We're both consenting. I'm ready to go. I'm physically mature, but I'm not allowed to marry because Moy says that the woman's fine. But if then the next day I leave it, I'm depressed, I want to cut my penis off, I can go right into the clinic, snip it off, and start taking HRT like Chris Tyson. That's a society that makes sense to you?
It is. I believe
Yeah, okay.
everyone has Honestly, yep, I believe everyone has the right to do with their body what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, everyone... has
Except
the
for
right to do
fucking
what they
adult?
want. They are
What do you
adults.
mean?
We wouldn't say a kid can just take
What?
a bunch of drugs because that's what they want to do. We wouldn't say a 13-year-old...
That's
can drink
ass
alcohol.
backwards.
Why? Well, because they're too young to understand the short-term and long-term effects of drug use. In the same way that we wouldn't say they consent to sex. And in the same way, we shouldn't be saying they should be able to go to the doctor and get their whole thing snipped off. That is just really dumb. And even outside of taking that position, Charlie just had a very hard time explaining his rationale for his own position, and it was not a good look.
Do words need to have definitions?
This
Yes,
is very
and
cool.
so does the age of consent.
When we use the English language, should the words that we use match the definition of the word?
Yes.
Why is there not an age of medical consent?
Neither. You don't. Statutory. We won't use colloquial.
There you go. So within this conversation, change it.
Whereas Sneeko, as wrong as he was, had a much easier time and appeared a lot more confident. Honestly, I think Charlie came into this debate relatively unprepared, and Sneeko was way more prepared. So when Sneeko debates someone who's never had a debate in their life, he's going to steamroll them. But the problem, even outside of that, is that Charlie said what he said about children transitioning, and I don't agree with that. I just don't.
No.
Man, yeah. Jesus. Overall,
No,
this was a
that's
pretty entertaining
fucked.
debate, so I hope more will happen. Realistically, I think Critical needs to be more prepared if he's going to have debates like this. I don't like that he took that position. I hope he changes his mind or something. If he doesn't prepare in the future for debates like this, Sneeko or whoever else is going to steamroll him, as long as they are about the age of consent. Now, I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comment section below. I know this is like the most contentious topics in the world right now, the stuff we're discussing, so I'm curious to see what you guys thought. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with Charlie? Do you agree with Sneeko? What did you think? Honestly, I think both of them argued for a pretty bad
Can I
position
make it
right
through?
here. Charlie not so much from the start, but once he made that other claim, I was like, no. That in and of itself shows that you are almost as
No.
inconsistent as Sneeko, in my opinion. But in fairness, after the conversation, Charlie said that he thought that he was being hypothetical during the part about the child condition, so maybe it actually, I'm not really sure. Yeah, I don't know, maybe he'll make a video clarifying that or something. If he doesn't believe that 9-year-olds should get they should be allowed by their parents to get their dicks cut off, we should probably clarify that. That'll probably be a good clarification to post. Yeah.
You can get therapy, you can go through the process of making that decision. I thought that's what it was. I thought he was just speaking in hyperbole with the dick cutting off. I thought that's what we were talking about. And then if you decide that's the path you want to take, it is your body, you can do that. You can make that
What does
decision
this
once
do?
you become of age to make a decision like that. I just don't understand how it got so muddled. Half
Nothing?
of the conversation was hyperbole, and apparently that one was literal. Or it's a very malicious attack on what I'm trying to say or misunderstanding. I don't know. I don't know. Alright.
Ah, okay, wait, I get it.
Yep.
But yeah, if you like the video, leave a like. Dislike if you disliked it. Retweet, whatever. Bye.
This game's really neat. Okay, so I need a drone to interact with this stuff here. I don't know what the soil is for. Okay, let's see. I don't know if there's anything I do want closer to right now. Guess I'll continue that.
I can't imagine a point. It's like where I feel like I would never get scared reading a book because it doesn't have the same effect on me. It's like I couldn't imagine myself getting horny from this. Whereas I think women kind of need it because they like need that emotional angle to it, which is why I think it's so popular. These smut books are so popular because there's more than just like balls slapping, pussy through graphic videos on Pornhub. It's more substantial than that, I guess. I don't know. Maybe a woman can explain it to us somewhere. Kaya, would you like to take the next one?
Yes, you feel so good, I tell her, and we'll keep the move again.
Where is...
In, out, in, out. Her insides start to tremble. Oh no, baby, not yet. No way am I letting it come. Not when I'm enjoying this so much.
What the fuck?
She cries. I want to soar, baby. I pull out.
Oh, reading excerpts from 50 Shades of Grey. Okay.
Wait, every time you move tomorrow, I want you to be reminded that I've been here. Only me. You're mine. Very possessive.
Yeah, even in the more like generic
right?
smut books that I read like excerpts from in the future from TikTok or TikTok smut talk. It's like a lot of these the themes are like around possessiveness and ownership, which is like very uncomfortable for me. It's like I own you now because I fucked you. You're mine, kind of. And they're like, no, I hate you.
That way, then I can pop it out and put it back away. See, that's much better. How much more until you hit the goal? I don't know. I don't have a goal. Maybe I should have a goal. If I do, tell you what, my goal today is $20. So if you want to send me $20, I'll take it. But no, I don't have a goal. I'm not monetized or anything like that.
All of her. I kissed her once more and let my hand travel down her body, down to her vulva. I hold her, feeling her heat. Slipping my index finger through the lace of her panties, I slowly circle around her.
Sorry, tentacles. I didn't mean to piss you off. Oh, okay.
It goes chapter by chapter, then you notice the shift thing where it's part of it is from his perspective, and it's from Yeah.
Are you taking the next one?
Right.
He's trying to decide if there's anything bad. This is what Jackson does, by the way. Whenever there's something embarrassing to read, he makes me
It's not bad.
There's so much going on
You
here.
don't really want to talk about it.
I've just
I like
read
it.
all of 50 Shades of Grey already. Well, not. I've read most of this. Where I got the word "sodden" from. So I'm very familiar with these excerpts from the sacred texts. I'm fine to continue reading if you'd rather continue reading, but it's a lot of reading. You've also even got the
I guess I need to figure out how to do chat overlays. OJ was doing a test stream earlier, figuring out OBS. My OBS setup's pretty nice. I just don't have the ability to highlight a chat and like pop up like a big version of it and show what I'm talking about necessarily. I can only respond to what's on the screen.
It's so arousing. Is it that I'm enjoying all of her firsts? Suddenly she draws me into her mouth, sucking hard. That tongue torturing me. She sucks harder. Her eyes are alive. Honey, this is... She sucks harder. Her eyes are alive.
Whoa. So extra. No.
No, it's much more watered down. It's not even really porn, and that's why most people didn't like it, because it doesn't really follow the books. Like, it doesn't get into any real depth or anything. So it's just like a really diet version of 50 Shades of Grey, so it didn't hit. Well, essentially, it did really well in the box office, but most of the book fans didn't appreciate it, and most people
There's
didn't
orbs.
appreciate it either. They're not very good.
What was the rating on it?
A lot of orbs.
No,
Hi.
That's where one of my favorite lines in cinema comes from. That goes, Christine Grey and
Ah.
about to sign a contract, and then she finishes signing it, and she goes, "Are you
Hi.
leans over, gets close, and says, "I don't
No, but Mark Zuckerberg
Aha.
People are
like it was just
Okay.
a year ago, right? When he did
I got
the,
cocky there.
the body surfing pictures.
Alright, alright.
Yeah, like an albino, basically super white and chubby. But now he's like a fuckboy that you see it kind of like twitch on.
It really does what happened. And people, obviously everybody always circulates that photo of him sitting in coffee.
Hi, how are you doing? I'm good, doing good, thanks.
Here, get some sun. People like
It's working well for sure.
Oops. Went right into his hands.
On Smart Talk at the moment. So, and it says Wendy has been cloistered away most of the night.
Guess nothing else to do but subscribe.
This is a love book. Basically, a retelling of the bad. I was not expecting that. I don't know, I guess.
Very cool.
Popular Peter Pan.
Very cool. Third time's the charm. Alright.
It used to be like 40.
I was not expecting a second barrage.
this is we haven't last week, but the whole
Oh no, I went down again.
Because it released during that time.
I'm from the internet, you know, that's where I live.
The clip itself. so he's completely fine with like.
I don't know if that's what I was supposed to do, but I did.
And screaming and stuff, and it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel like an actual breakdown to me in that sense. Like he's doing all those different things to hurt himself on screen, slapping his head, all that kind of stuff. And I remember in the past he used to do
Yeah,
stuff
you can
like
get it
that
on
with
Xbox
skits.
Game Pass.
Obviously,
It's
it was
currently on there.
which
If you already
were
have a
not
subscription,
as
you just
much
download it.
as that. There was
Otherwise,
things-
it's
do you
fairly
remember
cheap,
the
I
one where
think.
he was at McJuggerNugget's house and he was like in a crazy room, Charlie, beating an effigy of his ex-wife.
I vaguely remember that. That was so long ago now, but I do vaguely remember something like that being one of these early times where people were like, oh, this was like really out of character behavior for Boogie.
Yeah, so it was shortly after he divorced from his ex-wife, which he attributes to his downfall, but
Whatever it is, you certainly did do it. Yeah, that's
it's
right.
just that he was able to let it easier before then.
You guys might know the answer. How long has he now been the
Okay,
bad boy
cool.
as opposed to the wholesome Travis?
About 5-6 years.
Sounds like nothing was wrong. He's been the big Travis wholesome Mr. Rogers.
This about people
Big
now.
Chungus, Mr. Wholesome, Mr. Rogers. What?
I definitely think that's starting to become I think it's past that anniversary of now that being the bulk of it. I'm gonna look it up. It's Boogie 1998, which he 10
No, I feel like he started YouTube in like 2009-ish. He won the Game Award in like 2015 from what I remember. Which means he had that kind of conception for what like
2016.
yeah.
Yeah, he won 2016.
That was also the year that he got divorced and he immediately started like, you know, putting his foot in his mouth on like streams and stuff because he had no handler there to control him, I think. So 2008 to 2016 was that like 8 years, and now 2016 to 2004 is 8 years as well. So yeah, we're about
2016 to 2004.
Something I'm missing.
2016 to 2024.
Oh,
8
20
years. But I also don't think it really started in 2016. I don't think it was till like the end of 2017, 2018 in the timeline.
Oh yeah. And it's also like it was a gradual burn as well. Like people still believe that he was like the Mr. Rogers up until like 2021 because no one was paying attention really. And then, you know, the mega threads and people start talking about it more.
So is this place
And
the
he
real
had
world? It
public
sucks.
outlets.
I like being in the orb.
He took the
It's way
drama
prettier.
from his Twitch streamers, which was kind of like off in its own corner. He took that kind of persona and started like dipping into the main channel with videos like I'm rich now or whatever, and he just constantly talked about all the issues he was having as well. So he kept pushing people to go investigate it, essentially. And then yeah, so it's been a gradual burn, but that's why we're where we're at.
Like you guys said, I think at this
No,
point
I need
we've
orb
reached,
to
like,
do
too
that.
much fakery. Like I don't want to watch pro wrestling. This is boring now. You getting a fucking butter knife and saying what am I supposed to do? And like, I don't know, just the really lame stuff.
Grrr.
Uninteresting. It was more fun when it was real.
And I like when he's being like exposed and held accountable for all of the, you know,
But I can turn
dumb
it
shit
around
and
this
fucked
way
up
either
lies
way.
that he's, you know, done in the past. But at this point, it feels like he's getting off to the attention or whatever. Like
That closes it.
I
That's
don't like because it feels like he's
Yeah.
kind of getting what he wants, which is weird because his whole life is imploding. How do you realistically compete against someone? I don't know if that's the right word. How do you compete against someone with a humiliation in general? Like how?
You can't. That's the annoying thing. You have to. Sorry.
You just don't. Yeah, it's war games. The only winning move is not to play. Like Boogie, if left to his own devices, would legitimately probably be so much worse off than he is right now. With everyone talking about him, like literally everyone talking about him, it is exactly what he wants, positive or negative. He's being talked about, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter the context or what light it's being seen in. It's still a W in his book, and he's making much more money now. Like Lolcow blowing up and him getting pieces of that is
I don't get it.
dollars in the bank.
Like that goes big in the piggy bank. So it's not like you don't win. I guess if you like it's a more of a personal.
Oh, okay. Now maybe I do
Jackson,
now.
I genuinely,
Okay.
I'm starting to believe. I really do believe this now. Boogie doesn't care about you calling him out so much. Like, yeah, you have to just have rent free sometimes when it comes to these topics. But outside of that, I don't think he thinks about you. In fact, maybe he looks at you positively because you help secure.
Got it.
Don't put that on me. Don't do that. I won't be able to live with myself.
We're not blaming you, but I completely agree, and I don't think it's even that Boogie.
Now it's unpowered, it shouldn't move, right?
This is really condescending, but I don't think Boogie has a lot of agency in his own life. I think it's fucking Keemstar.
Aha!
Honestly, Keemstar's
No.
just
I wasn't fast enough.
and all this shit. He's like a lamer version of Vince McMahon. You know, he's just orchestrating the stuff with the lamest fucking wrestlers on the planet. And he has Boogie in his wings of redemption. But yeah, I don't know. Like last week, I think they had the stunts that they're going to fire Boogie, but he's still on every episode, on every stream, every single day.
Aha! Okay. That was tough.
Way they fire Boogie. He is like he.
That puzzle definitely got me.
Fire him.
Yeah, I mean, what's gonna happen? Like Boogie leaves, and then it's just gonna be Tommy C and
Keem and Lucius.
This is a cool ability to turn things from smoke to solid.
Like he is just pretty entertaining. Like putting on the top hat and shit, and just being like really cold about everything.
I like Wings. I didn't know anything.
Alright.
Well, there was that documentary that I think Down the Rabbit Hole did on him. I watched that, and I actually came away feeling sorry for him because I think he's fucked up. He's made mistakes. He's his own biggest enemy though, but he still feels to me like a redeemable figure or something. You know, is probably a pretty decent guy at the heart of it and wants to do the right thing maybe. But yeah, watching live workout live and shit like that, he's always the most likable.
Interesting.
It's funny. Yeah.
Does anybody, real quick, does anybody know of, I think there was an episode yesterday or the day before where Boogie calls him racist? That really abused me.
What a cool technology for an elevator.
I guess he was lying about being on the phone with his sister or something like that, but Keemstar, as always, Boogie and said,
No, I'm hitting it too many times. One more time. There we go.
And Wink said something like, your sister sounds like she makes really good fried chicken. And Boogie fucking started screaming that Wings is racist. And everybody said, well, how the fuck would we know that your sister is black or something like that? But Boogie tried to get a hit on Wings.
Very cool. Are we on the surface now?
Nobody knew that any of the racial stuff was like that. I think Wings just mentioned that she had a southern accent, and that's
Ooh, yay, portal.
Went that direction immediately. But
he said some shit
okay,
like,
what's
I
this
don't like Muda, like I don't like curry.
Just holds it?
No, he didn't. Did he actually? What? He went straight to curry?
Boogie is like I actually do think Boogie is legitimately a racist.
All right.
Like, his old tweets did that all the time.
Yeah. I was on live stream. Basically, you guys remember? I think I talked about it in a previous episode, but when someone,
I know what you're
yeah, a black person or a person of color, or someone messaged with a donation of
that makes sense because the red orb's in the blue orb or the
that's a lot
green
of money
orb,
for a
the
person like you or something.
ocean orb. I don't know, whatever.
What do you? Why would you say that?
I unfortunately do have to hop off though. I have work
racist.
today, so I'm gonna go get ready for it.
Oh,
So,
man.
He's so
have a good one.
effortlessly cringe.
He is.
Anyway.
And that was when he was trying to be a good guy as well.